Hard work or talent?
Hard work.
Why? You think it beats talent every time?
Yeah, because I played with some talented individuals that didn't work hard, and then I played with some people that worked extremely hard that dominated that talented individual just on their effort alone, their relentless effort alone. I was one of them.
Yeah.
You know, there were players that were a lot talented than me, and I was born with some gifts. Because I worked hard, you know, I dominated a lot of those talented players.
Put in the work, put in the effort, and you'll see great returns.
Hard work doesn't guarantee you anything, but if you don't do it, you don't stand a chance.
Welcome to the Future of Education podcast, hosted by Mackenzie Price. Mackenzie is the founder of a revolutionary new school model that's disrupting education through AI. Join us as we discuss the latest in education innovation.
You know, at our schools, one of the things that we've done, and I think this also kind of ties into that sports ethos, and it's what you're doing here, but because our teachers aren't having to do, you know, lesson planning and lecturing and grading homework and all those kinds of things, because we use an AI tutor to do that. We call our teachers guides. And what we really are focused on is their whole job is motivational and emotional support to be able to understand what is going on with this kid, you know, that's happening. Because it's really hard to go focus on school if you're not having basic needs met or you're having emotional challenges at home, which, by the way, do hit all socioeconomic classes, right? You know.
Totally.
There's atrocious things happening behind all doors.
Listen,
you know,
the mental health and wellness of our young people is so fragile, especially what they're exposed to now. You know, with the phones and it's a lot to digest for these kids. You know, and actually seeing what's going on in their environment. You know, maybe their friends might be dealing with certain situations that's affecting them. And there's just a lot of pressures that our children are feeling. And I'm just an extended part of my family. You know, I had to dealing with a situation, you know, where one of the kids tried to take his own life, you know, and he's a freshman in college, you know, and he tried to take his own life because he didn't make the sports team that he was trying out for. And he wasn't doing well in school, so he tried to take his own life, you know? So where is the collective resolve that we can kind of teach our kids to have in knowing that, okay, that didn't work out, turn the page and let's start working on some other things, or where are the people that's lifting them up, you know? So that's why our kids start at age 5 and we follow them to age 25 in our program.
That's incredible.
You know, so we make sure that we hold their hand through this obstacle course called life.
Well, and I love the fact that you said to 25, because, you know, there's a lot of programs around the country that will say, hey, we have 100% graduation rates and our kids matriculate to college, and then they drop out of college.
And they drop out
and
of college.
they lose that support.
Well, a lot of times they
them.
drop out of college, especially when you're dealing with kids from single parent home. They're dropping out of college because, you know, they're being forced by their families back home that they have to come home and they got to work, they got to take care of. So that's where we come in and intervene and say, hey, we'll provide some help for your family. You have to cross the finish line, you know. So that's why our success rates are so high, you know, is because we have this infrastructure in place and we have these in-school coordinators and these mentors and these confidants, and we have all these relationships. It's all based on a relationship model. We have all these people that encouraging these young people to make sure that they cross that finish line, you know, when there's so many other things that kind of get in the way of that.
It's the important versus the urgent. And urgent often wins out, and we have to help people kind of see, and that can be on everything. I'm sure your NBA all-star who's going, well, urgently, I've got to take advantage of this life. And importantly, what am I doing, you know, on a bigger focus?
And it goes back to the old African proverb, you know, it takes a village to raise a child. It really does. You know, you just can't leave it to one person to do it, one parent or two parents. It takes a village. It totally does. It takes coaches,
and we moved away
teachers,
from that in our culture.
We have totally moved away from that. You know, back in the 60s, you know, our country was tops in reading, math, science, 60s and the 70s, reading, math, science. Now we have plummeted, especially since COVID happened.
34th in the world right now.
In all of those
yeah.
statistics,
Yep.
you know, we're so much behind. Our children are so behind in grasping educational skills compared to so many other countries, you know, and we have to change those statistics, but we have to do it and not just leave it to our public school system to do it. It's gonna take organizations like yourself, like this organization here, the Overtown Youth Center and Family Resource Center. It's gonna take our holistic approach towards providing services, not just to the children, but their families. You know, it's gonna take a lot of work.
And I think it takes people, and one of the things I do with my Instagram and my YouTube is I'm always just trying to help parents understand that, you know, you do have abilities to make that difference. It may not be on a huge scale, but there's something that can be done, and there's ways to find support and help. And
right.
Obviously you're a great example of, you have poured in, you know, ever since I announced last year that we were going to bring a school to Miami, everyone's
right.
like, you got to meet Alonzo Mourning. I'm like, great, I'll work on that. So if you saw me stalking you outside of your house, that was me. Now it happened.
Yeah,
but I know you have poured so much into this community.
Yeah.
You have done so much with education, you know, and all of that. And you know, and that's what, you know, I try to do is like, just take that step, whatever it is that you can do. And eventually, I mean, you've got big feet, so of course your footprint has to be pretty big.
Well, Mackenzie, I'm gonna tell you, I think the most important thing about what we do is replication.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's so many other areas of need across our country. You know, we're pouring so much money, billions of dollars into so many other countries. And there's such a void here for our own children, you know.
Well, think about how much money we're pouring into education here in our country. And let me ask you a question. This might, I don't know if you like being controversial, but
right.
I think I know the answer based on kind of what you've been saying. Do you believe school as it's known today is broken?
Well, I'm not going to say it's broken. I think there's some flaws, because why can't all schools have a private school environment? My son goes to a school that's #1 in the state, Ransom Everglades. Its tuition is $50,000 a year. Now I can afford to pay that, okay? My oldest son graduated from that same school. He's 28 years old. He speaks 5 different languages.
Wow.
Okay? Why can't all of our schools, public schools, have that type of environment?
Do you want to hear an interesting fact? Chicago public schools,
Talk
you
to
know how
me.
much they spend per student per year? $30,000 per student per year.
Wow.
That's private school tuition, right?
Yes, it is.
Going towards public school things. LA Public School District was about $36,000 as of a couple years ago.
Right.
So, you know, I often say actually it's not a funding issue.
Right.
It's about how we're allocating and what we're spending our time on. And I agree with you. I think there are flaws that actually could be shifted pretty well if we do that.
They can be shifted.
I will say though, you've mentioned public schools not doing a great job. I actually think sometimes it is a model issue. I think there's a lot of private schools that aren't much better,
right.
you know, in terms of what they're doing. And I know that's what gets me up every morning. Is like, there is a better way that we can provide that motivational support to students, that we can work as coaches in their lives, and that we can provide academic excellence for all kids.
I totally agree. Yeah.
So what's your favorite part? You know, you've got this incredible youth center.
Right.
I'm sure you come in and do support, but like, what's the thing that you most like doing? If someone said, okay, Zoe, get in here, you're gonna do something with the kids, what would that be?
Well, first of all, you know, I enjoy all of our fundraising activities, you know, and just getting the community educated on the work that we're doing here.
Yeah.
Outside of that, anytime, you know, our kids get together for the holidays, any Thanksgiving drives that we do, our holiday drive that we do for Christmas, you know, and also the huge party that we do with all of our kids. You know, we got over 500 kids that go to the party, and we've been fortunate enough to have different organizations sponsor the party, and they feed the kids. We do a whole holiday presentation where the kids perform.
That's cool.
And then we give gifts, and we have a DJ, and it's pretty incredible party.
That's fun to see.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, and seeing kids so excited. You know, I live in Austin, Texas. I flew here last night to Miami, and we're doing a big event with the Miami Heat. This afternoon, some of our kids are going to be presenting some pitches they have to some of the Heat executives that are probably colleagues you work with on reimagining game day. But last night on the airplane, some of our students from Texas are coming to do this pitch, and one of our little boys, it was his first plane trip. You know, he's 11 years old, never been on a plane, and he gave me this huge hug in the aisle. I'm walking to the bathroom of the plane, and he's like, "Miss McKenzie," he's like, "I'm so excited," and he gave me a hug, and I was like, "Okay, this is awesome. Like, this is why it's worth being on a 8 p.m. flight, leaving my family to go get to do something fun."
Same type of scenario with us. We have children here that are born, raised here, that have never been to the beach.
Wow, isn't that amazing?
Literally, it's a 15-minute drive up the road, and they've never put their feet in the sand. You know, so we've been fortunate enough to, we call them exposure trips. You know, so we gotta do our best to try to take kids out of their environment and show them the town that they live in. You know, and,
if you don't
take
know
them to the
anything
play.
better.
Exactly. You know, what they see is what they'll be. You know, so we try to expose them to as much as we can outside of this invisible fence up around their neighborhood, because a lot of times either their parents are working, they're tired, they don't have the wherewithal or the money to take them anywhere, you know, outside of their environment. So, you know, taking them to college campuses, exposing them to that environment, opening their mind to endless possibilities that are out there, you know, which is extremely important, you know. So taking them to the beach, letting them touch the water, put their feet in the sand, what have you. I mean, that goes a long way,
That's
you know.
Incredible.
Yeah,
that's exciting. Okay, so I want to ask you a couple questions to wrap up here. This is going to be an either or, okay?
Talk
you
to
ready?
me.
We're going to talk athletics and education.
Okay.
Hard work or talent?
Hard work.
Why? You think it beats talent every time?
Yeah, because I've played with some talented individuals, against some talented individuals that didn't work hard. And then I played with some people that worked extremely hard, that dominated that talented individual just on their effort alone, their relentless effort alone. I was one of them. You know, there were players that were a lot talented than me, and I was born with some gifts. But because of my work ethic, because I worked hard, you know, I dominated a lot of those talented players.
I believe in education. We are all about it's work hard every time can beat talent. And, you know, we help our students to understand, put in the work, put in the work, put in the effort, and you'll see great returns.
Yeah, and not just that, you know, hard work doesn't guarantee you anything.
Yeah.
But if you don't do it, you don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
You know, so I always tell kids, you know, in all else, just make sure you put forth a relentless effort. Put your heart and soul into it. Good things will happen. It might not happen when you want it to happen, but if you're consistent with the hard work, good things will happen.
Yeah. Okay, here's a trickier one. I think this is harder.
Okay.
Team or individual?
Team, always. Yeah, team. You know, because I'm gonna tell you this, nobody has ever accomplished anything of significance without somebody else's contribution.
You're right. Think about your foster mama.
Without somebody else's help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so team always. Winning a championship. I've been a part of a championship.
Yep.
You know, I watched them unfold because of a group effort, because everybody did something together in order to make this happen. You know, so you don't grow in isolation. We grow in community.
Yep.
Growth happens with our connection to other people. So I'm a strong believer, you know, that even in individual sports, golf. Golf has a caddy.
Yeah.
Your caddy plays an instrumental role in helping you navigate that course.
Yeah.
You know, some of the great ones, they talk about their caddies, you know. And then you talk about tennis. You know, tennis, they talk about their coaches and what have you. Those are individual sports. You know, you got, boxers, your manager, your corner trainer, so, all those, successes derive from many different contributions.
Yeah. Well, you obviously were a good student because you're doing really well on my quiz so far. I'm going to give you one more.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Winning or losing?
So I had an old coach once tell me, his name is Pat Riley, there's winning and then there's misery. Okay? There isn't losing, there's misery, But I've also heard the old saying that people fail their way to the top, okay? So failing is just a learning experience for you to find a different and a better way to get to where you need to go. So I think losing or failing is healthy as we continue to strive towards success.
We say it's a necessary stop on the train to success, right? Like
Amen
you
to
learn
that.
from failing, you learn from falling and getting back up. I'm from Colorado. I wasn't a good basketball player, but I did grow up skiing. And I always told my girls, falling is a sign of improvement because it means that you're challenging yourself, you're pushing yourself, and you're getting better on that. Well, Alonzo, thank you for joining me on Future of Education. I love the work you're doing. I think there's stuff you and I could do together to help kids across the country.
I totally agree.
I mean, I do believe that the most important asset that we have is our young people and unlocking that potential. Love what you're doing, thinking about kids in all aspects of life, and keep doing that great work.
Listen, our young people are the messengers to a future that we're not going to see. So it's important that we plant the right seeds into them now, so they can develop the world that we want to see.
All right, you ready for some one-on-one basketball?
Yeah, right.
Crush you.
Yeah, right. I don't have my shoes on today, so.
Oh, well, these are my best basketball shoes. They get me closer to the basket.
Elevation,
they give me a little elevation. How awesome is my job? My daughters were frustrated with school, and now I get to interview Alonzo Mourning. Life is crazy. I don't know how it works. But anyways, thanks for joining. Check out the next episode. Remember, kids are unlimited. It's our job to help unlock that potential.
Thanks for listening to Mackenzie Price and the Future of Education podcast. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, now is the time to do it so you can stay up to date on all our episodes. You can connect with Mackenzie on social media and be part of our daily conversation over on Instagram at futureof_education. For more info about the show and our guests, you can always visit futureofeducationpod.com. Lastly, if you're loving what you're learning, please leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts.